What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to break it down on some of the latest updates, what the hell is happening, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, SoFi is pulling back 1.82%. It's pulling back with the broader market, so a lot more fears are starting to arise. So this isn't necessarily the best, pre-earnings day that I would have anticipated. But yeah, it is what it is. 724 the low so far, 752 the high. 21.9 million shares being traded so far within the first 2 hours of the trading day. 35.3 is the average. So relatively good volume, and majority of the volume is actual institutions. Not all buying, clearly, because as of this, based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price, there was a rush right here of selling. Don't know why, but some entities are selling. So 2.32 million is a large one, and then aside from that, relatively small ones. So not necessarily the best. As of today, there's been no actual news from SoFi, no SEC filings. So it's just been somewhat piggybacking off of the broader market, somewhat coasting into their earnings. At the same time, you do have a lot of fear starting to pop up because of Powell. They're citing as well, a lot of articles are just saying upcoming tech earnings, which I feel is not necessarily the best, but rather this. So as you can kind of see, it says massive US banks now prepare for millions to default. And that's been one thing that I guess generally bears bring up about SoFi, is just them being overextended and potential is like if there is a massive recession, then SoFi is going to get hit quite hard. So again, it's not necessarily the best. A lot of just fugazi out in the world a little bit. So it's a unique circumstance. But one thing that I found extremely weird was that there was a new analyst rating that came out today. So the day before their earnings, somehow Reginald, who is a 48% success rating analyst from JP Morgan, did give a $9 price target. Not going to complain about the price target because generally that's good, but the day before their earnings, that is rather weird. To me at least. It might be normal given the circumstances, but and I get it if there's been larger macro situations that is changing, but the day before their earnings, that's kind of random. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from that, no real other updates coming from analysts, so nothing's changed for their estimates for the Q2 earnings. So we are going to be coasting into their earnings with these estimates. So 1 cent is the earnings per share, 567.25 million for revenue. And actually, my apologies, that did go up. It was 566, so it did go up 1 million. So maybe that one analyst did that gave a rating, somehow gave a very optimistic revenue estimate. So again, that did minorly change. My apologies. And over the last 90 days, 3 positive revisions and 5 negative for the earnings per share. So something to keep in mind. You do have shorts surprisingly returning some shares. So 336,000 shares is being returned. 16.98% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 176.25 million shares. Utilization 57.7, and then short score 72.02. And as you can kind of see, based on IBKR, it does indicate in excess of 10 million shares is available to be shorted. So if shorts really wanted to double down, there's more than enough ammunition to do so, and it is very cheap to borrow. So I see the fact that they're not doubling down over this last week as somewhat optimistic for their upcoming earnings. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. Looking at options, 4.92 million in calls, 2.18 million in puts. Enormous amount of money is getting into SoFi through options. So something to keep in mind. Of the call options that are being purchased, you do see a very strong consensus for it to be around that $9 range by the end of this Friday. On the flip side, looking at the bearish ones, so more so sub $6. So very volatile. As I said in my video yesterday, just anticipate a lot of volatility. I didn't anticipate it to go down 2% as a byproduct of their earnings. Normally it's kind of other way around. It runs up to their earnings and then it sells off, but I think the market wants to sell off today regardless. As of right now though, with it at 727, it is just trading between the R1 and R2. So 721 is going to be a strong support. So far it wasn't really tested today, so that's kind of a good thing. And then $7.50 is going to be the next strong resistance slash target. It did momentarily break above that, but clearly strong resistance and whatever else. So let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think that their earnings is going to push it lower to the sixes or above kind of $8, $9? Do you think the options is accurate or whatever else? On the actual chart itself though, it is still higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, still above a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. Stochastic, you do see it at 59, so not overbought nor oversold. So obviously with their earnings coming out tomorrow, it's kind of a fresh slate for the most part, so we'll just wait and see. Number of retail investors are getting out today alongside a lot of institutions. So what's your thoughts on SoFi? Do you think that this sell-off is justified today? Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing? And for those of you that kind of watched my Lucid dedicated options video, I put in the description of my last video. Are you guys doing options? Like if you kind of hedged a little bit at 750, that would have been a nice catch this morning. But again, with their earnings, it could really propel it higher or it could really break it down. So there's a lot of risks involved with everything. But yeah, do what you see as fit, whatever floats your boat. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.